Hello again, my crypto journeys. Yeah, video 2 days in a row. As part of your education, what coins should you invest in? Now, understand I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not talking about the ones that will double, triple, move your money up by 10 to 100 times. There are plenty of YouTube channels that'll be glad to do that. This is not one of them. In our previous video, I talked about an article that I did overviewing some of the videos that I've seen, some of the information I've been getting to get a glimpse of when the bull run is going to start and when it may end. So we basically are looking at, okay, spring of 2024 to fall of 2025, April-ish to October-ish, basically, in those 2 years. And that fits with the waves. I told you, if you don't even understand the markets, you can look at the two videos and you can see what the waves look like and you can get a sense of how they carry. However, something is happening this time that was not happening when I came into the market, which is regulation is about to move in around the world. And I'm going to put my article about this that gives you the whole story about it in the description. Hold on, if I can find it again. Let me share the screen. You think you have your stuff together and you really don't. But it is here. Okay, a glimpse of the timing of the next bull cycle. In the previous video, we talked about the videos that I talked about and they, did a breakdown. I got this last weekend about what the charts look like and went back and checked the charts and it charts out. Okay, here's where it's going to start from Crypto Capital Venture, and here's where it's likely to end. They overlap. No BS Crypto and Crypto Capital Venture overlap on when they think the date to start. And No BS Crypto says, there's 548 days to the halving of the last bull cycle and the last two cycles. This is why he believes that the bull market will end in October, late October, very early November of 2025. If it's 548 to 550 days, that's where that puts you from the halving. And since this is held up twice, it's likely that it'll be similar the third time. But I continue to listen to No BS Crypto into August, which is Tuesday of this last week. And he's out here talking about 24,000 altcoins will collapse on this date. I'm like, what? Who has this kind of information? Okay, now I'm on Hive, so I went on and talked to the people on Hive about what was going on, but here's what I want to talk to you about right here. If your investments are going to survive, they're going to come in line with why businesses survive. There's regulations in the US, Canada, and Australia. Coins and products that have utility and trusted governance in the environmental, social, and enterprise aspects will be coming to the fore in the next decade are likely to survive. Because the date when a lot of these disappears between 2025 and 2030. So if your crypto if it actually does something and it has good people in leadership and there are things that the world needs that it helps with, it'll probably be here. But the other thing that happens, at least in the United States, is that you have securities and commodities. Here's how this falls into place. Bitcoin has already been considered a commodity. Ethereum is pretty much in that box also. Commodities do not have a strict regulation that securities do. Securities like stocks and bonds. There are very strict rules that the Securities Exchange and Commission, the SEC has here in the United States. So most altcoins are not going to be able to meet the requirements to be securities. Is this going to matter in the coming bull run? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. The United States is going into an election cycle, and that's probably going to dominate 2024, and the aftermath is probably going to dominate 2025. And we do not know who will be in office setting the tone at that time. But people who are smart investors are going to be looking for, let's just make this real big so we all can see it. Utility, does the coin actually solve a problem the world needs solved? Does it cause a benefit and bring a solution to the situation? And does it have people running it that know what they're doing? Have a track record. Are they in environmental? Because that the green wave of things going green and using less energy is very important. Social, people talk about woke versus anti-woke. That doesn't matter as much outside the United States, but does it make life better for the majority of people? Enterprise is business. Does it help business do business? they're more likely to survive. And then the regulations will either put things in securities or commodities. So it behooves you to really focus on number one right now. We don't know what the regulations are going to be. That's coming up. But for most of you in the state of education that you're in right now, this here is what caused me to do well. My little $15 here and $15 there. Bitcoin solves the problem. It solves the problem of it's not going to be printed into the ground. You know, in the United States and many places in the world, we're dealing with inflation. Bitcoin will only have 21 million coins divided into 8 divisions, Satoshis instead of cents. There will never be any more. It's hard money. That was the problem it was designed to solve. Ethereum allows people to build decentralized, non controlled applications to run online. And there was nothing like that that existed at the time Ethereum was founded because Bitcoin was not built to do that. It does do some of it, but was not built to be able to be built on constantly in that way. So those are the two biggest ones. And they're not in the securities box. They're not going into the securities box. So Bitcoin and Ethereum have utility. They have decentralized governance, more or less, because Ethereum is now what's called proof of stake. And Bitcoin is pretty much going to be dominated by institutional holders. But that's a different story. They started out in such that they had decentralized governance. They are being used. Bitcoin gets banged on for being hard on the electrical grid, but as people change their mining processes, that can be changed. And both of them have enterprise aspects. So that's a good marker. If you cannot remember anything but Bitcoin and Ethereum, they hit part one and they have already been sorted in part two into the commodities box, which is why I always tell people start with Bitcoin and go to Ethereum. I'm not telling you that because I'm a financial advisor. I'm telling you that because that's how I built my success, not knowing that this was coming back then. But if you get this part right, chances are you're not going to mess with anything that's going to fall out of both of these boxes. Okay, so you remember how I talked yesterday about scammers and how one of the reasons we get scammed is because we don't want to be honest about how it is? Well, a lot of people get scammed in the financial market because they want to get quick money with no major investment. They don't want to learn the markets. They just want to have some. They want to buy their way into heaven. It's a version of the longest con in eternity. I explained that to you yesterday. The thing that you need to look at here, coins that have proven purposes are generally going to do well. And if it's big enough and important enough, they'll figure out how to fit under the regulations. Coins that are just here as everybody's mass delusion on becoming rich because they have willed it so are not going to be here when regulation gets finished. It's just not going to happen. They're going to get wiped out. Like certain crypto exchanges no longer operate in the United States. The regulations are not clear, but the SEC has been going after people. Now, have they been doing it fairly? No, not really. Because there's no regulation. And finally, judges have come back and said, you don't have the authority to do that. Congress controls the finances. Who you? Be that as it may, the long arm of the government is really long. So some of these small projects out here running wild when regulation hits, they may not be able to turn the corner. But like I said, if you have utility and you have a strong team, those groups of those cryptos, their leaders are already working on this. So as you begin to move beyond Bitcoin and Ethereum, which I don't recommend anybody do in their first year or 6 months of learning about crypto. Learn about Bitcoin, learn about Ethereum. I'm going to be coming out with some content to help you do that and start there because they're going to be here. They're not going to disappear unless the whole market disappears. But learning how to invest is like everything else. You know, if you look for utility and skilled governance, then you don't invest in the Umar Johnson. If you look for utility and skilled governance, this will lead you around problems everywhere else. If you look for utility and skilled government, you don't vote for Donald Trump. I'm not saying Joe Biden is great, but he has a 47-year record of getting stuff done. I'm not saying it's all great stuff. I'm certainly not. If you looked at that contest in terms of utility to the world and skilled long-term governance, Joe Biden won that contest hands down. That was easy if you look at it that way. Now, there is a lot to be said for mission, but like I said, there are 26,000 altcoins. We don't got time to get into that today. But for right now, I want you to have this in your mind. So we kind of have a frame now. We got some information. Okay, I got spring of 2024 to October 2025. If I knew what I was doing, I could invest now. Maybe I might be able to start my way into Bitcoin toward the end of the year, give myself 6 months, maybe the beginning of next year. And then maybe I could be very brave and branch out. Although for some of you, the wisest thing is just to stay in Bitcoin and Ethereum. They're probably going to go up 3 times, maybe 4. That's the wisest thing if you don't have much time to learn. For most people, those two will do you just fine. But if I am going to branch out beyond Bitcoin and Ethereum, all I need to think to myself is, does the coin actually solve problems in the world? And do the people running it look like they know what they're doing? Do they have a track record? If the project is new, do the people who are putting it forth have a track record of doing anything right? Another time, we're going to talk about people that are always aspirational and inspirational. Stockton Rush talking about, I don't hire 50-year-old white men. I don't hire white men basically in my age class because I find young people more inspirational. His former business partner, I told y'all that story about that. Sitting up here talking about, mankind is going to be set back if we don't find a way to get to Venus because, it's aspirational. Crypto is full of men like that. A project implodes, and the next man who survives says things like, forget that happened, we on to the next. Full of projects. In fact, people who have scammed people in crypto have come back and said, we're sorry that happened, but here's our next project. Literally, this is happening. Inspirational aspiration. Umar Johnson, good example. People who fill you with a vision but have no track record. If you learn how to avoid those people in real life, you bring that over into how you do your crypto. If you do the steps to become an honest person willing to do the work and get the education, then you will bring that over into crypto, you do better. Don't worry about commodities and securities right now because Bitcoin and Ethereum are available, especially Bitcoin. Think about, what does the coin do? Do I understand mission? Do I understand the governance? Do I believe in it? Is this a mission? It's another video, but about all the good good basket of all coins. What are they doing, and is that a mission you want to see done? I've talked to you about Hive many times. I stay with Hive because I'm able to do things in the world. Hive's people get their resources and their crypto coins together, and during the bear, built boreholes for people who needed clean water elsewhere in the world. Put money together to help people be able to overcome sickness, injury. Uh, People there really do have a vision for helping others. Not everybody. Our governance sometimes is a little bit interesting. But there's enough people in that governance who are like, no, we're not going to do the foolery. Mm-mm. And they come out and they make things happen. It's one of the reasons I'm an investor on Hive, not so much a trader. I believe in a mission. Will it survive the altcoin purge that's coming? I like to think so. Can't tell, nothing sure yet, but this cycle, not going to worry about it for right now. Hive is also truly decentralized, so there's also nothing to shut down in terms of a corporate direction. But I believe in the mission. It definitely has utility. And since I am a stakeholder, I'm part of the governance. So at least so far as it lies with me, Hive is being governed well, as far as I have any influence over it. And y'all know me, I have gone and gotten up into some big boys' face about, what are you doing? What are you doing? People know I'll get up in your face with my little professional journalist self. Don't make me read you clear back to what you put on the blockchain in 2016. How it didn't even exist. Its predecessor did, and I still got access. So as far as the governance lies with me, It's going to be all right. And you want to make sure, and we'll talk about how you learn, because each of these projects has a website. They have what's called a white paper. They have a team there. You can look all of them up. Excuse me. It is August and the spring allergies still are not quitting. You can look all this stuff up and be sure. But the main thing is that I want you to take away from this is utility. Is it actually doing something that anybody wants done environmentally, socially, and in business? And what kind of governance does it have? What's the governance structure? Is it something where you can find out who's running it? If it is decentralized, can you kind of get a sense of what kind of community it has around it? And is it doing anything? Concentrate on that. And then, of course, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Excuse me again, y'all. Bitcoin and Ethereum already have the decentralization test, more or less, and the already in the commodities box. You don't have to worry about them disappearing, so that's a good place to start. Go find out what is Bitcoin and what is Ethereum, what they're meant to do, and use those as a template to look at all the other altcoins that are available. And as we go on, I'll put some more resources in the chat about how to uh, find all these coins and research them. But for right now, the video that we listed from No BS Crypto and the whole article that we also referred to next last video, all the videos in that article will be in the chat. That's enough information to take on in one sitting. And I'll be back. As I continue to gather information, as I continue to make little moves, I'll let y'all know. Am I ever going to tell you exactly what I'm invested in and how much I made? No, because I'm not a financial advisor. And what I was able to do has nothing to do with what you're able to do because what I want is not what you want. You got to figure all that out for yourself. And you have to look at if this is what I want to achieve, what steps do I need to take and where do I find the information? But as I find information, as I'm going through my process that I think you could benefit from, I'll be back. And as I say, I'm working on a whole book to help you educate yourself and break things down so that you have an opportunity to know how to make moves should you choose to do that and how to stay out of the scams. Get in before the crowd, get out before the crash. That's gonna be our idea. That's what we're going to be trying to do. Get in before the crowd from now until August 2024. That's what we're going to be kind of focusing on. Learning what we need to learn and doing what we need to do. The only difference between me and you is that I've seen a whole cycle. Does that make me an expert? No. That means I'm just over the next wave saying to you, I've seen this before. Here's some things that you might want to consider. Here's some foolery you might want to avoid. Because when I came through way before you, people who paid attention to this were able to get this kind of results, and people who did not got killed in these markets. And it does not have to happen to you. Utility, trusted governance when you're picking a coin. Or if it doesn't have either of those two things, is it truly decentralized? And this is why, for some people who are really mad about some of the developments in the last 4 years about Ethereum, but for you, all you need to know is that Ethereum is going to be here. It's basically it's stable. It's going to be here. There's a lot of things running on it that depend on it in the crypto space. There's a lot of things in the quote real world that now are linked up with Ethereum and are going to be here. And Bitcoin solves a real world problem, the problem of inflation. How every government can print itself into the floor if it wants to, and how Bitcoin is what's called hard money. It will not devalue like that because there's only ever going to be so many of them. So start there. Utility, decentralization, trusted governance. Couple things to look for. And we'll get into more of that as we go along. All right, that's 2 days of crypto journey content. Once you've looked at the description, watched the videos, read the article, you'll be pretty much caught up with what I'm looking at for this cycle. And I'm working on more expansive content to get, more extensive content to get you caught up to where I am in my understanding. All right, I gotta work on this book. Y'all have a good day now. Goodbye. Oh, I probably will do a sub playlist to this playlist when this is available and walk you through some of the main content of that. Some of it. Again, videos get too long. You're gonna have to really study to show yourself approved. That's a quote from the Bible. The whole quote is study to show thyself approved, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. 1 Timothy 2:15. But It applies everywhere. Study to be approved so that you know what you're doing and you actually do not lose money out here to start with. You want to break even. And then hopefully, if you get it at the right time and look at the right coins, you might even make some money. Even if you're somebody like me who has to come in $15 at a time. Maybe enough so that I can be up here at 2 whatever in the afternoon and talk to you about how you get started. Y'all have a good day now. Bye.